In terms of data quality, I think overall as an industry, we need to be taking a more holistic approach. I think at the moment, everyone's too focused on just weeding out fraudulent respondents, looking into the sort of AIs and the bots and sort of removing them, as opposed to also looking at the sort of ground level foundation, which is at the end of the day, a good respondent. Another aspect of this, I think, is working closely with your panel providers, and that's something that we take really to heart here at Walr. It's one of our main priorities, and it's something which we are doing every single day and improving on every single day. So we have direct integrations with a number of our panel providers, and we work alongside them to make sure that their quality is as good as can be. So if we come into a study and we see a project which has problems, or we have issues with respondents being bots or whatever, we can pass that through to our panel providers, they can investigate it closely, and that helps them on their end as well to improve the overall quality of the panel. What's also really useful about the fact we have direct integrations is that this process is almost instantaneous. So rather than having to go through the speaking to, a client manager at the panel or one of our relationships there, we can immediately send back the IDs of bad respondents through our API connection. So that allows us to show them who the bad respondents are almost immediately after completion of a study. And this obviously just speeds things up in terms of the process overall and makes things more efficient. And that obviously allows them to respond in real time with further respondents if we need them, or to go and fix those respondents from taking further studies before they do. Further to that, what is really important is actually treating your respondents like humans. I think a lot of respondents know when they're being tested. So if you treat a respondent like that and you ask them, oh, can you select purple from this list? They know that that's a quality check. And that sort of reduces their experience of it, doesn't it? If you think you're being tested in a survey and you're sitting there and you want to give honest answers, it becomes a bit more of a bore for you, essentially, as opposed to actually being something engaging. So when people barrage respondents with all these attention checks at the start, it obviously proves to the respondent that you're treating them in a way which isn't very friendly, to be honest. And I think that's a really important part of the respondent experience. In order for them to give you engaged answers, they have to be engaged with the survey itself. So if you're sitting there with a non-engaging survey, you're going to get non-engaging answers. So obviously part of what we're trying to do in that aspect is we're moving up with our new Walr Verify toolkit. So this is hopefully a suite of questions which don't seem like they're too intrusive to a respondent. So you've got things like where an inattentiveness check that the respondent's not necessarily going to notice. And I think that's really important in order to maintain that sort of engagement that the respondent has. And so things like illogical responses are checked. Basic things that might seem like a screening question almost are used in order to actually check a respondent's engagement with the questionnaire. So stuff like that is where we're trying to move towards, as opposed to the sort of traditional questions that you get in these sorts of tests. So I think overall in the industry, obviously we're doing a lot and as much as we can in terms of data quality. But what we're not focusing on are the people who are really there and working with your panel providers, having those relationships and making sure that the real respondents who are coming through are going to be there again and again and again.